Hi everyone, this is Selena Kraus and welcome to another Hero Arts card video. In this video I'm using the Using Stencils with Inks kit. This kit contains 5 products, 3 ink pads, from which 3 ink pads, 1 stencil. The ink pads are Orchid, Neon Purple, and Neon Pink. The Every Which Way stencil, and the stamp set Birthday Hugs and Kisses. And you can get this kit at about 25% discount compared to buying all the products individually. Also, you get a bonus free stencil. So let's get started. I'm using a piece of Dove white cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and I used some stencil adhesive to adhere that stencil onto my cardstock. I'm using some ink blending brushes. You can use any ink blending tool that you have at home. And I'm starting with the Orchid Bold ink. That's the darkest from the bundle of the 3 inks. I'm starting to blend the ink from top towards the center of my cardstock panel. Once I'm done with that Orchid Purple, I'll move to the Neon Purple. And I'm using different blending brush here. I didn't want the ink to get cross-contaminated, so I'm using separate ink blending brushes. And the last one, I'm using the Neon Pink and applying that to the bottom of my cardstock panel. I'll be going back a couple more times with the Orchid and the Neon Purple to make sure that I have nice and gradient transition from one ink color to the other. Once done, I wanted to add extra shimmer or texture to my background, so I'm applying some shimmer embossing paste. So I'm just smoothing that with the little spatula, removing the excess. So once I'm done applying this glitter paste, I will carefully remove the stencil from my cardstock and carefully handle that cardstock and set it aside to dry. While that is drying, I'll use the stamp set, the Birthday Hugs and Kisses stamp set, to stamp the Hooray It's Your Birthday. I'm stamping on pitch black cardstock. I will stamp with embossing and watermark ink. Before I go on to stamping, I use the anti-static powder pouch to make sure no extra embossing powder goes onto the black cardstock. I'll be embossing it white, so this is very important, so you don't get speckles of white on your black cardstock. So I'm applying the white embossing powder, and next what I'll do is just heat set it. So I'm using the heat tool to melt that embossing powder, and by magic of YouTube, I've already cut that strip. And next I cut as well a panel of vellum layering paper. I'm adhering those 2 layers together. And next I decided to add one more sentiment, so I'm using the Let's Celebrate. Again, I think that looked fine. I'll stamp the sentiment onto pitch black cardstock using embossing and watermark ink, and again emboss in white. I'm stamping a couple times to have better coverage and to make sure that I have everything, kind of all the letters are stamped nicely. So the embossing powder, we have nice coverage when the embossing powder. So again, I melted that embossing powder and I cut the strip. Next, what we'll do, we'll just assemble the card. I'm adding some foam mounting tape on the back. I'm using a T-ruler to make sure that I've adhered all the elements nice and all the lines are parallel. So to adhere that strip, the larger sentiment, I'll trim the ends because the strip was longer than my panel. And then we'll adhere the Let's Celebrate. Again, I'm using the T-ruler to make sure that that's nice and straight. So I'm satisfied with the positioning, the placement of that, and I just press it out to adhere nicely. Next, I'm using some neutral and enamel dots, and I'm using only the black ones for a little bit extra interest to my panel. To finish off the card, I'm making a top folding note card using pitch black cardstock. I cut it down to 4¼ by 11 and I scored at 5½ and then fold it in half. Next I'll just use black fan foam to adhere my panel onto my card base. And I'm using the Hero Art Precision Glue to adhere all those layers together. It's very nice and strong adhesive and it goes a long way. So I'm just applying now on the back of that fan foam and adhering onto my pitch black note card. This finishes our card. Thanks for watching and see you soon in another video. Bye!